Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Notre Dame fans, whenever you are tuning in, whenever you are watching, listening, whatever the case may be. If you're with us live or listening, watching back, appreciate you for making us a part of your day. I'm Mike Singer. I run our recruiting and YouTube operation here at blueandgold.com, the foremost authority on Notre Dame football, and really at recruiting and athletics. And then Tim Hyde, former high school coach out in California, and a junior college coach, coached some big-time football players, as he talks about from time to time. Tim, I feel like we were doing shows every day in January, and now it's maybe between IU and the national championship game. It's been so slow, so I miss you, Tim. I miss seeing your pretty face on the screen. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I need another month off. How's that? It is no, that was draining, man. Emotional draining, fun draining. Then you get that dip. But it's exciting. Just 10 seconds, obviously watching NFL Network, seeing the Riley, Kaiser, Obin, those guys repping. I love watching that stuff. Get hyped for the draft. Always love the one-on-one O-line stuff, obviously, watching those guys go at it.
Yeah.
That's fun. But unbelievable news. So I can't wait to dive into some of this stuff because I am like beyond stoked. Recruiting is going crazy. You lose the recruiting guy, but it's probably going to get better in my humble opinion. So I can't wait to dive into that. But seriously, I mean, you lose a national title. You're second for the first time since 1993. You lose your DC, who's a freaking stud. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, woe is me. What else? Who else is leaving? And I think everything just turned a massive corner in the last 12 hours. So I'm fired up. I can't wait because there's some dudes I'm really excited to talk about today.
Yeah, we're talking about some fun stuff as I have in the headline here, reacting to coaching rumors, transfer portal, and more. Yeah, I'm fired up. And yeah, the season's over, but the thing about you have two schools of fans. You have, I watch the games and I pay attention in the off season. If you're watching this show, if you're listening to this podcast, you're a junkie. You love this stuff. You live for it. You live and breathe Notre Dame football 365 days a year, compared to the Notre Dame fan who's like between 12 and 16 games, or 12 and 16 days a year. You guys are what keeps me employed, so I appreciate you all. Tim, real quick, I told you recently that I wanted to give you the floor about this because I would say your coaching stop that's the most well-known was at Palisades, and
oh God, I didn't think of this.
Yeah, and the California fires were affected your high school, to say the least, Tim. So I won't add any more on that. I'll just give you.
Oh yeah, I mean, guys,
it's crazy.
No, I mean, no. Thanks for that. I know we haven't talked. I know I've sent you pictures and things of that nature. Sent you how my office is literally no more, completely obliterated out there in the corner of the football field. No, that was powerful. Just to talk about that for a second. I heard about it, and I'm like, Southern California guy. We get fires all the time. We get earthquakes all the time, right? And we had games in 18 and 19 pushed back because we had some fires in the Santa Monica and the Valley that was closed. And then all of a sudden I wake up the next morning and I'm just like, are you kidding me? Yeah, there's Pally right there. There's the gym right there. And I'm just like, whoa, this is true. And then I wake up, I got 117 text messages from, old players and teachers that worked with and things of that nature. So many people I know literally lost their homes. That one area, everyone that looks like World War II, like, the bombing of Dresden, where those blocks, there's nothing there for miles. That's called the alphabets. So every street is A, B, C, D, all the way up. And every home there is $2.5 million home, little cookie cutter homes packed on, just gone. And I have a handful of players that all lost, their family homes there. So that's pretty devastating. But no, I wish them luck. I've been in touch with so many people down there, still talking to them all. And no, it's devastating. And like I said, we've had fires close by, nothing like that, obviously. And it's those Santa Anas, those people that have heard of Santa Anas, those in California know about them. Yeah, when those things get kicking 50, 75 miles an hour, you can't stop, and it's brutal. Yeah. So, praying for everyone, wishing everyone well, all my friends and, really, really close friends down there. So, checking in with them all the time. Sports is affected. They're all just doing virtual school. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, this news was like 3 weeks ago, so I apologize, Tim, for not talking about it with you sooner. But just Yeah, crazy. So I would say the most timely news. I mean, look, the Chris Ash thing is the biggest news.
Sure.
But we kind of have known about that for the past few days. When it's always interesting. You have that first report where it's like this guy is emerging, or he's the top target. It's like 80% of the time that guy is who or girl is who they end up hiring. So you have
It's
the Ash emerging or top target, and then it gets reported, the deal's done, and then it becomes official, right? It's kind of that 3 steps. Well, we got the first step for
yes.
Texas Tech general manager James Blanchard. For folks watching on YouTube, Blanchard's a total badass, first of all, and then you look at his trajectory of his career, and he has done a lot of cool stuff, and he is considered like a top 5, 10, I would say top 5, but easily top 10 general manager in college football. Like he is as elite as they come. And I don't know how Texas Tech kept him for this long. I know he just signed a huge extension last July/August with the Red Raiders that made him about $400,000 per year. And now, USC takes Chad Bowden for, $1 million bucks a year. And then Notre Dame swings for the fences. That is one thing about Marcus Freeman, man. He does swing for the fences with these hires. And as Pete Nakos from On3 reported and Blue and Gold confirmed, Blanchard has emerged as the top target for Notre Dame's general manager position. So, Tim, I think it's going to be him. Like I talked about,
Yeah.
I probably say it's about 75, 80% like thing. Like when it's, hey, this report comes out from your Pete Nakos of the world on the national side of things. So, he's got experience at, under Matt Rule, worked from at the Panthers and at the college ranks, and in Texas Tech for, I think, the past few years. And again, he's regarded as one of the best GMs in college football. And I'll say one more thing before I throw it back to you, Tim. Blanchard's kind of like the triple threat in that he's got experience with running a recruiting department, the whole NIL space. Well, actually, I'd say a fourth quartet threat. I don't know. Quartet threat is actually kind of has a nice ring to it. Recruiting, NIL, portal, and scouting. Like he was a scout. That was his title with the Panthers. So if Notre Dame's able to get this guy, Tim, I think it would be a grand slam. Like I like. Can you
Yes.
do it much better than James Blanchard?
It's funny, when this came out and our little group text with some buddies, and
Was I not one of those buddies?
you were in there. You're busy. You're a busy
Okay.
man. You're a busy man. You must
I
not
didn't
have
say
read.
I responded, but I was in that group
Yeah,
text.
yeah. No, you're right. So that's what I'm saying. Our group one, our little buddies. Uh, I mean, this is huge. I mean,
Yeah.
this is literally.
If
And I'll be brutally honest. I'm no insider. I'm just a slappy ball coach who loves Notre Dame and talking. Read a lot, listen to I love some of the national pods. Read the articles from the big writers and whatnot. Whenever anyone ever talks about infrastructure, recruiting, organization, the best in the business, for whatever reason, and I have no clue, Texas Tech is constantly mentioned. And it's always Coach McGuire. Coach McGuire is a big time high school head football coach who took over Tech. The first dude he hires is him.
Yep.
To run the show. He's a Matt Rule guy. He was with Matt Rule, helping building up some of his teams before the NFL with Carolina. This guy's got unbelievable experience. He is mentioned in every single article, podcast with the national guys, the Yahoo, and the Cover 3 guys. He's always mentioned. I'm like, who's this Texas Tech guy?
Yeah.
And they're solid, right? It's Texas Tech. They're middle of the road, so to speak, but they're always top 25-ish in recruiting. They're always really good Texas guys. They've got some elite wide receivers lately. So me as a Notre Dame guy, I think this is huge. If there was one guy you could get, or out of 3, let's say, he's in the top tier. He is legitimately in the top tier, big time general manager, experience, the recruiting, and like I said, the infrastructure. When you read about just how Texas Tech runs their organization, it's fascinating. There's tons of articles out there people could go hunt down and read about it. So the dude's got an amazing brain. Obviously, Chad Bowden's leaving. Don't want to be, kick a man when he's down. Notre Dame just upgraded, and I'm going to be real. They just upgraded. They may have gotten the best guy in the business, and
Yeah,
that's saying a lot.
yeah. I mean, Chad is fantastic at what he does. Like,
Did a hell of a job. This guy is elite.
yeah, Blanchard's got the NFL scouting background that Chad didn't have, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, um, I'm excited, and the more I
Yes.
learn about Blanchard, the more I'm like, damn, like this guy is a stud. So I don't know. You wouldn't necessarily think, oh, Texas Tech, like you're
Yeah.
getting the best GM in college football, but and what a
It,
role it is, Tim, like the
oh, it's
GM
wild.
role. Like you've always had these recruiting guys, but it's so much more than just the a recruiting office lead role. It is so much like you were in charge of so much. It's incredible to me that the GM is one job because the scouting, the portal, the NIL, like before Bowden left, like the earlier last week, he was doing deals with the players. Like that was kind of like his, I guess, parting gift and then leaving was, and I know there's a lot of players who were happy. I'm sure some weren't as happy, but uh, you know, that's part of the job, like working those deals to stay, since now the school can directly facilitate those things and of course run the recruiting. So
Well,
just quick 30 seconds or
yeah,
so on
no,
the
no,
GM role.
especially at Notre Dame. Notre Dame has their NIL is now in house.
Right.
The Brady Quinn one. Now it's God, I can't even think of the name. I was just watching a Brady Quinn was just on with
It's
Greg
not
McElroy
fun,
just
right?
the other
Did
week.
they is it no,
Fun.
not
It's a new
fun.
one on
They're
campus.
they're
Rally,
doing a new one.
rally.
Rally.
Rally. So he was just on with Greg McElroy talking about all this stuff just a week ago. So it was a really good interview for people who haven't seen it. It's on YouTube. Brady Quinn, was honest about how Notre Dame works, and he thinks they're one of the top ones. They just don't release a lot of stuff, which is smart. But no, this is big, man. You got, especially for the state of Texas, Notre Dame has recruited studs and monsters out of Texas for ages. Got away from it for a little bit. I mean, what Freeman and company were just in Texas, you've been reporting. So Notre Dame's had a nice presence. Obviously, some really good Texans on the team right now. I think that is going to be massive because Texas can only take so many. A&M gets so many, and now you go after and you go get the ones that going to Texas Tech, Baylor, or whatnot. So I think that's going to be huge. Just a very experienced guy that's been multiple D1 programs. That's the thing with Chad. He was just a recruiting guy at Cincinnati, little Cincinnati. Come to Notre Dame's his first gig. This guy's got NFL experience, multiple Power 5 job experience. I don't know, man. To me, this is like the big news of the week. I think it is just, I think it's going to be very positive. I saw Chad Bowden's taken one of the recruiting
Hey Tim. Hey
ladies
Tim.
away. What do you got?
I need you to keep talking for about 20 seconds. I
I can
gotta.
talk. Yeah. All right. I'll see you in 12 minutes. But yeah, I just you guys could probably hunt it down on Twitter. Chad Bowden's taking one of the recruiting assistants away. I forget her name. I just saw it real quick. So he's going to come in. He's going to bring in some of his guys, either away from Texas, other places had his work. So definitely, really do some homework on this guy. He's unbelievable. So I'm excited. Notre
Yeah.
Dame fans. I think the recruiting department's only going to get better. I
Yeah.
really do.
Tim, Michael Schwinger, which I still don't believe this is a real person. I think it's just a play on my name, but what do I know? He said a word from our sponsor. So with that being said, let's talk about Home Field Apparel. You guys know that I love their clothing. So if you're wanting to gear up with some new, fresh, clean looking Fighting Irish gear for the off season leading into the 2025 season, which will be here before you know it, you're going to want to check out homefieldapparel.com, the premium collegiate apparel brand, based in Indianapolis. You get that brand new clothing with a retro look, but no retro tears or smells. And Homefield is always rolling out new clothing items, and their clothes fit great. I'm actually wearing a Homefield shirt currently. I got one for the alma mater. Highly recommend you head to homefieldapparel.com, check out the entire Notre Dame line. And if you have friends that are fans of another schools, Homefield has licensed clothing for over 180 colleges. So yeah, my last order, I got a few Notre Dame things, got a couple USF things. And yeah, it's pretty cool to just go to a site like Homefield where you get unique stuff that you're not really going to see anywhere else. And yeah, and home field, I feel like it's reasonably priced, and when you get that promo code BGI, you get 15% off your first order at home field. Again, folks, code BGI, 50% off your first order at home field. I will say though, when I was in Atlanta for the national championship game, I saw the Notre Dame Fighting Irish Shamrock retro coach's jacket several times. The night before the game, freezing in Atlanta was it last week? Yeah, early last week. It was freezing. I saw this like four or five times. People were rocking that sweet retro coach's jacket. So check it out, homefieldapparel.com. So that's the news on James Blanchard, who my sources rave about this guy. So I think if you're a Fighting Irish fan, you're pretty excited about this one. I think that the Texas connection, like Tim talked about, is really interesting. He's been around some really talented individuals, and I want to say he's in his late 30s, early 40s, so still a young guy. I don't know. I think you're excited today if you're a Notre Dame fan. Now, Tim, the other bit of news that I want to talk about is, let's see what order we had. We'll kind of go out of order.
Whatever you got.
Tell me this guy does not look like John McNulty, by the way, former Rutgers coach and now, or then a Notre Dame coach. But anyways, Tim, Notre Dame set to hire former Rutgers head coach Chris Ash as its new defensive coordinator. So I know a lot of Notre Dame fans are kind of like, like at least just seeing on the message board and whatnot. But I mean, 2011 to 12, Wisconsin D coordinator, is an Arkansas D coordinator for a year. He was the co-defensive coordinator and safeties coach for Ohio State when they won a national championship that first college football playoff year, if I remember correctly. Then became the Rutgers head coach from 2016 to 19, 2019, 2020. Worked at Texas. He was the DC at Texas in 2020. Jacksonville in 2021 as a safeties coach, moving to the NFL, and then was with the Raiders for a couple seasons as a defensive backs coach. I believe for 2024 he was back in Jacksonville as just a scout. So Tim, this very much feels like the Al Golden hire. So Tim, I think last week, if I recall correctly, we were talking about Mickens, and it's like, do you go gray hair or do you go in-house? Freeman's been a head coach for a little while. Does he need to continue to go gray hair? Does he need to go get a former head coach? Or does he go from within and like do a thing with Al Washington and Mike Mickens? Clearly, Freeman keeps pushing the envelope, swinging for the fences, and he is zeroed in on, and it seems to be literally all but official, that it'll be Chris Ash as Blue and Gold, Pete Nakos from On3 and many others have reported. So, and Tim, on our message board and on Twitter, I know you've been pretty outspoken in support of this hire. So for once, you're not in the the favorable comments, so to speak.
Yeah, it's not so much support as in just just spend 12 seconds on Google and just do a little research sometimes. And everyone looks at everything different. I like my favorite comment is, well, this is not a home run. Well, who is a home run? It's like the home runs. Go look at the top 10 in the defense. Those are the elite of the elite. Or the top 15. I actually did some studies on the top 15. It's like a bunch of MAC coaches in there. Okay, you want to take the NIU DC? Ohio's been really good. Excuse me, Miami of Ohio with Chuck Martin. Penn State's had back-to-back top 10 Ds with two different D coordinators. So when you look at that, obviously Jim Knowles is Jim Knowles, but Jim Knowles got fired from some jobs. If you do a little research on him, the dude spent most of his time at Duke, for crying out loud. So you don't know. I'm just looking at it as a ball coach, and as someone who's coached for a long time, who have ex-players coaching D1. I got some people in the NFL. I know how the coaching profession works. I respect the hell out of them. I do. I think these guys work their tail off. So, and then I'm a big fan, a big believer. It even goes back to Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman, people don't realize he was the Purdue DC, Mike. Guess what his scoring D was? Obviously, you're not going to know this. 117.
It was not good. Not good.
117. His first year at Cincinnati was 93. So those aren't the elite of the elite. Yet look where he is now, right? From 2016 to 2024, taking him on the cusp of the national championship. But I like to look at people who work with people. You know what I mean? Like he worked with Brett Bielema. He was a recruitment coordinator coaching in the Big Eight. Brett hires him, goes to 3 Rose Bowls, DC, and then you got from there he follows him to the SEC. And then this is what really matters is he was with Brett Bielema, so he's a Brett guy. Urban Meyer steals him. So Urban Meyer steals him, and then boom, you go, wins a national championship the next year. They got the 3rd best D in the country. He gets a head job. Why the hell you would take Rutgers? It's like Clark Lee. Why are you going to Vanderbilt? Some people do crazy things in this world. So Rutgers is Rutgers. That's right. And that's the other thing. You got to spend 12 seconds doing some homework. Rutgers is just entering the Big Ten, right? They're not even getting a full pay. They're not all these things. Facilities at Rutgers is atrocious, all that. And then he goes to Texas. But now he's been in the NFL for 4 years. So you do have a guy that's moved around, but he's a guy that's being hired. And his last 2 years when he was with the Raiders, that was with Josh McDaniels. He's got no ties to Josh McDaniels. And to get hired in the NFL, it means you're a good ball coach. That's the way I look at it. So he got hired without knowing Josh McDaniels. I think that says a lot, which obviously he got the recommendation from Brett Bielema. Brett was obviously with the Pats for a few years when he left Arkansas. So it's just those things, a little long-winded answer of just look at a guy's path in the coaching profession. He's done some really good things. And then the next thing is, when was the last time Notre Dame hired a guy with a national championship on his resume? I was going back trying to figure out, guys. I don't know when the heck it was. So that's something to look at as well. So it's not so much sticking up for him as in just look at the guy's resume and whoever wants to come out, which there are on the board, the media, people in South Bend, oh, this is horrible hire. Hey, everyone's got opinions. Let's see how it plays out. And as we talked last week, Mike, Marcus Freeman's been here 4 years. 1 is the DC, 3 is the head coach. This is his program. He's running the show. And obviously he probably called the guy that he coached with at Ohio State by Luke Fickell, who's his good buddy. So let's obviously put that in as well. So just a few thoughts.
All right. A few comments here. Jay Carr said earlier, Andy Ludwig is the 20%, talking about the whole 80% when the report comes out, so-and-so is being targeted. Yes, Andy Ludwig was the 20%. Ryan Roll said, so is Ash a Freeman hire or a Notre Dame being cheap hire? This is 1,000,000,000% a Freeman hire. Like this is, all right, so you look at the...
Hold on, Mike. Seriously. I mean, this is what kills me on message boards, YouTube, Twitter. It's like, what does that mean? Being cheap? Guy's got 20 years of coaching experience. It's not like he's some slappy down the street. Who did Freeman grow up? Who taught Freeman how to coach? Luke Fickell. This guy coached with Luke Fickell, right? Who was Luke Fickell's other boss? Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer pulled him out of the SEC. So Urban Meyer hired him in the NFL is what I'm saying. So yeah. This is not some spanky on the back of a baseball card here.
So, Tim, let's talk about the coordinators that Freeman's hired. Al Golden, former head coach, yes. Right? Mike Denbrock, as experienced as they come, gray hair factor. Jared Parker, but, I mean, you could have easily replaced Parker with Ludwig, right? Because it was so close to being Ludwig, and older, experienced coach, right? So you look at everyone he's hired, and then to Ash.
And hold on, and real quick, Ludwig got fired at Utah. Yeah, so how about that?
That's besides the point. But I'm just saying, like when you look at to answer, is this a Freeman hire or like I think the question from Ryan's asking is this Freeman's top guy, or is this Freeman couldn't get his top guy, so he's settling for Chris Ash? I think that's a better way to ask.
But this
the question. But Tim, I think this is who he. Maybe it wasn't the number one guy, right? But I think this is who, like, realistically Freeman wanted, that gray-haired, tons of experience. You get a big bonus if you're a former head coach, and Chris Ash checks all those boxes.
Exactly, and like someone just posted the Cincy tree, exactly, and now the Wisconsin tree, which is whatchamacallit, Fickell. Now he's getting some Wisconsin guys, Joe Rudolph, Mike Brown. Wisconsin background. Where do those guys come from? The great Barry Alvarez, who Notre Dame should have hired for crying out loud in 97, but that's another story. But he's got a background. So when you hear the cheap or my favorite, Mike, is the Freeman and Ash have the same agent. What? That doesn't mean Marcus. I mean, you know how many people have agents? You know how many agents have coaches? You know what I mean?
It's something. It makes it.
It's easy communication.
It's an easy connection. It's easy connection.
Easy connection is Fickle, is Urban Meyer. These are people.
Data points, Tim. Data points.
I understand, but these are people Marcus Freeman associates with. These are guys he calls. These are guys when he has questions, advice, he reaches out to these guys. Which obviously he probably knew Al Golden was going to be, especially when the DC got canned at Cincinnati.
Yeah,
this was going to happen. So it's not like Marcus Freeman's waiting. He probably spent the entire couple weeks prepping, looking at information. Chris Ash came up. So that's the way I look at it.
Chat's getting very worked up. We got to talk about some of these things. So if you're asking questions,
ask it.
There's a good chance, guys, we're gonna answer. So this is a good one. Can someone explain the code DC thing? So everyone's up in arms about this. First of all, we don't know. I've seen some people like, oh, Mickens is the code DC. Oh, Mickens is not. Calm down. There's nothing official about that. Mickens, as I reported up Blue and Gold today, has NFL interest. Sure. Notre Dame is doing everything in their power to keep him. Mickens, either way, is going to be making a good bit of extra money that he was not making in 2024, that he will in 2025. Let's just put it like that.
Yes.
So, Tim, whether it's some upgraded assistant head coach thing, or if it is a co-DC or whatever, if he gets picked up as a DC by another big-time college program, or an NFL team picks him up. Anyway, he's going to make more money. But in terms of the co-DC thing, Tim, I don't know if you've worked on staffs with co-defensive coordinators, but my understanding is there's still one guy, or co-offensive coordinator for that matter. There's one guy who still calls the plays, but the other guy is important. And you make a lot more money as a co-DC, right? It's partly a title thing, but I'm sure it is partly a responsibility thing as well, Tim. Like maybe you're dealing more with rotations or game planning or something. But
yeah, I mean,
one guy is calling the plays.
And that's the other thing is these coaches, all they do all week long is spend time together. They game plan together. They prep things together. They prep practice plans together, call sheets together. Even if you're not a co-DC, you're prepping all this stuff. So these guys work together. I can't wait to talk about Rudolph about this. It's like it's all these guys do is work together, watch film together, talk about personnel together. That's what especially great staffs, winning staffs do. They have relationships and they get along and they agree on things. So the whole co thing, people don't like co. Well, Marcus Freeman was a co-DC, by the way, at Purdue. How'd that work out for him? Bob Stoops. I always tell people, go look at Bob Stoops. Bob Stoops became famous, guess when? As a co-DC at Kansas State with Jim Leavitt. So, and he worked his way up. When he was at Oklahoma, guess what he always had? Co-DCs. They won a hell of a lot of games at Oklahoma. So the whole co thing, people lose their mind over. It's, I've heard people say, well, who's, are they taking turns? It's not checkers. You're not taking turns, making moves, for crying out loud. No, it's a title. We talked about this last week. It's just a title, things of that nature, helps people out in the business. There's going to be one guy that makes a call, but it's not like he's making the call. You guys, he turns off the headsets. Everybody knows what the hell's going on. And we've heard Freeman talk about this. This keeps going back to Marcus Freeman. He's been here. This is his program. He is going to be involved as much as ever. Because that's what he wants to do. The guy's hyped up. He wants to win a damn championship. So he is involved.
All right, a couple of super chats from Just One ND Gal. It is always good to see you in the YouTube chat. And a couple great ones. Scale from 1 to 10. How likely Mike Mickens leaves now, she means. From what I'm being told, I would say it's like, and I don't like the percentage questions, and I'm doing it tonight though. 3.5, 3, somewhere between 3 and 4, 3 or 4. That would be my answer.
3.5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was going to say 5.5
because I am being told it's more likely he stays. So if 5 is dead in the middle, I'm going a little bit more on the the less likely. So I'd
All
say
right.
like
I
3.5,
was gonna go
4.
5.5 out of 10 just because it's the NFL, man. You get a chance to go live in the NFL, have life in the NFL, coach in the NFL. Those are tough. But at the same time,
He's
if you
so
stay,
young. He can go to the NFL whenever.
dude, you start eating that up now, man. I was watching a documentary on Tom Moore, who's 47 years in the NFL. It's like that's what you do when you start rocking. But at the same time, you stay, you get that co-DC title. That's obviously going to have a lot of oomph out there in the world next year when something pops and he can move on. He's going to move on sometime.
Yeah, he
He's
will.
not the only one that could coach corners. They
Yeah,
will get a damn good corner coach. They
which
will. But he's a hell of a coach. And if he gets promoted and something good happens to him, and I wish people nothing but the best. So yeah, if he gets an amazing promotion, good for him.
Okay, so if you do have Mickens as your cornerbacks coach, Chris Ash as your safeties coach, because he has a ton of safeties coach experience.
Yes.
Damn. Mickens and Ash as your defensive backs coaches, that is elite. That is that is a tremendous pairing. But for me, like again, there's the sourcing and then there's opinion. The sourcing says he's likely to stay. Notre Dame's doing everything they can. They love Mike Mickens. They want to keep him. Fingers crossed. But for me, it's like, man, you just made the national championship game. Mickens is what, 35? He's still so young. The NFL's going to be there. You're going to be coaching Mickens is going to be coaching for 20 plus years. Like, my opinion is like, ride this out with your childhood best buddy.
I agree. That's a great point.
And then go from there. What'd you say?
No, I say that's a great point. Ride this out with your good buddy.
See how far you can get. Like it's just
coach the hell out of
haven't hit the pinnacle.
Seriously, coach. I mean, now that you've been to the championship, it's like, well, let's run it back. Let's go do this thing again. Have that excitement. Al Golden's leaving. I'm probably gonna have a little bit more say. I've been here for 3 years with Al Golden. I've been here 1 year with Marcus Freeman as DC. Now I get to maybe have a little bit more to say, in that coaching realm whenever someone moves on. And Chris Ash is going to come aboard, and he's going to he's got 3 damn good football coaches: Al Washington, Max Bulla, Mike Mickens. So he's going to lean on those guys a lot because he's not coming in saying, well, we're going to run 50 cover 2 and have 2 checks. No, they're going to keep the same stuff. They got the defense built to it, the DBs built to it. If anything, what should be exciting is who the hell I keep mentioning this every 12 minutes. Who the hell is replacing Xavier Watts? Well, you got a guy who's an expert at safeties, coach safeties in the NFL, having him coach a bunch of young bucks, right, coming up through the ranks. So that's going to be exciting to see who really jumps up in that group.
All right. And then we have one other super chat from just one ND Gal. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about Augie's locker room. And I haven't pulled out the website yet, but Augie is fantastic. His locker room is great. And he's a really good guy. Like when you want to support local businesses, especially when it comes to Notre Dame, Augie is top notch. Got to talk to Augie a few weeks ago. And such a tremendous dude. So if you love Notre Dame memorabilia and unique one of a kind Notre Dame items, Augie's locker room is 100% the place to go. And it's at a new location as of October 2023, 1733 North Ironwood Drive in South Bend, just down the street from Notre Dame. So if you're local, you're driving through town, you're in town for a game, whatever the case may be, make time for Augie's locker room and check out the wide selection of Notre Dame Stadium pieces, jerseys, helmets, autographs, and one-of-a-kind Rockney items. You can find exclusive Joe Montana signed items, a Notre Dame football Sam Hartman 3D figurine that I think would look great behind me in my office here. But hey, if we have any generous people back there and just want to send old Singer something, hey, be my guest. Be my guest. Augie doesn't have something in store, he's going to find it for you. Visit Augie at 1733 North Ironwood Drive in South Bend and see the vintage helmet display dating back to 1890. Augie's got incredible stuff. You're going to want to check it out. Augie'sLockerRoom.com. Again, folks, 574-277-6363 is his number.
can I take like 42 more seconds on
But
that?
I will say, folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. Go ahead, Tim.
Just one of the things that obviously comes up a lot, and I haven't brought it up yet, is, everyone likes to bring up the Texas. Well, they stunk at Texas. And yeah, so he did, which I like to always say, number one, it's COVID. How are you going to change, the culture, the attitude, all those things over Zoom, right? How are you going to build relationships on an app? Trying to talk to guys, especially when it's dead coach walking, as I call it. Tom Herman almost got canned after year 3, and they brought him back. So, and obviously year 4 ended up being his last stint. So he's trying to coach over Zoom. You don't have full team meetings. You're in small groups, all these things. They go out and they stink. And then I went and looked at, like, their scoring defense. The year before he got there was 60. His year was 65. Well, Charlie Strong's last year was 89 in scoring D, as our good buddy Tyler Horka could attest to the years with Charlie Strong. So it was bad. Texas was bad for a period of years here. So, and to expect some guy to try and change the thing when he's not even the damn head coach, and the head coach is obviously on the hot seat for his culture building, for the things we've all heard about Texas over the years. You just got to keep. That's the other thing. It's like you got to keep some of this stuff in little context sometimes on where they're at and who they're doing things with. So just a few things. And I know people say Mickens, DC, but lastly on this, Mike, is, that's Marcus Freeman. I mean, Marcus Freeman are buddies, right? They grew up together. They knew all those things together. So I'm sure Freeman's had a lot of talks with him, and he's got an opportunity to bring in someone with 20 some odd years of experience. Those are hard to pass up. So you always got to keep those things in mind.
Just one Andy Gal said, is Rudolph to Bears a possibility? Possibility, sure. Per Nate Tice from Yahoo and NFL Network, Chicago Bears have interest in Notre Dame O-line coach Joe Rudolph, but as Tyler Horka put out on Twitter, Rudolph's never coached in the NFL since beginning his coaching career as a grad assistant at Ohio State in 2004. And my sources, as I reported, if you're a blueandgold.com subscriber, I told you guys in the morning that I was told he is staying. Like he told, crap, let me make sure.
Is that the Singer Jinx?
Hold on.
Huh?
What do you mean Singer Jinx?
I'm joking.
That can't be a thing. Let me just make sure. I don't want to say something that I didn't say on the board. So let me make sure. This is what I put on the message board. So at 10:35 a.m. So you guys are getting this, 11 hours later. I was told that Ruman informed several members of the Notre Dame football program this morning that he's not leaving. So, and then I was told that by a second source afterwards. So could he leave? Is it possible? Just one ending out. Yes. I believe they're interviewing the Ohio State O-line coach, Justin Fry, if I saw that correctly on Twitter today.
Yeah, Fry's a good ball coach.
Yeah, he is. And I believe Notre Dame's looked at him
Yep.
in the past. I know that name has popped up over the years. But I am not expecting Rudolph to go. But this is just, I'm a big Spider-Man guy. With great power comes great responsibility. With great success comes coaches getting interviewed for other jobs. This is just how it goes. But someone else asked, someone else said, Rudolph interviewed with the Bears. I don't think he did. I don't believe he did. So I think there was some interest, but my understanding is that Rudolph is not going to the Bears. Could that change? Sure, but not expected. So that's a positive, Tim, because if it continues on this track where he stays with Notre Dame, Tim, because I know you love him.
Oh, he's a damn good ball coach. I mean, he's coaches fundamentals like crazy. You look at, it's like, my God. I mean, there's people out there that are like anti-Joe Rudolph, and it's laughable because it's like, did you watch Notre Dame this year? Did you see the injuries? Did you see the way he managed that room? Did you see the way they coordinated the run game? Once again, Audric Estime was the guy last year, right? When Love, Price, Williams, a true fresh. These are all rookies. These have never been the dudes. These have not been the go-to guys at Notre Dame. So they rised up with a group of young offensive linemen and took Notre Dame all the way to the national championship. So, once again, I respect coaches. I know what these guys do. I know the business that they're in. And Joe Rudolph is as respected as anybody in the industry. There's guys that I know on the Joe Moore Award Committee that watch a ton of film. They love Joe Rudolph. They see so many things. These are guys in the NFL, college, announcers, all those things. And he's been unbelievable. There's a one between 2015 when the Joe Moore Award started and 2024. Now, one college coach has been nominated more for that award than Joe Rudolph. So these are guys that watch film. There's no ego. There's no buddy handshakes and all that stuff. They are picking the best line and the best line coaches they see. And Joe Rudolph has been that guy. So
yeah,
I mean, I would be excited for him because it'd be great to once again get an NFL opportunity. So if he went, it would stink for Notre Dame because you want your line coaches, man. That's the other huge positive. He'd be going into year 3 with these guys. Year 3, getting ready with this group, a very super talented young group, a excellent 2026 O-line group that's starting to take shape here slowly and rise up and get ready to come to Notre Dame next year. So he's recruited some monsters. I hope he stays for 5 more years and coaches them up because he is a damn good offensive line coach. His experience as an offensive coordinator, I could see him and Mike Denbrock sitting side by side watching tons of film together because Denbrock's coached O-line. They both coach tight ends, all those things. So I bet you it's a really good working relationship in that room, and that's positive for Notre Dame football.
Comment or super chat from Matt says possible GM better than Sudds. Are they similar? I'm talking about Blanchard and yeah, Patrick Sudds is the Carolina guy who was rumored a few days ago from John Bryce over at Football Scoop. He does a great job. It's like I would say resume wise, probably Blanchard, and just like, and look, for a lot of us, we're just learning about these guys a good bit. Like we've heard about the names, but we're like diving into them now. So it's like, all right, Mike Singer's been researching these guys for 4 days, and I'm gonna tell you definitively who's better. But I will. So I can't say definitively, but just based on the resumes and whatnot, I think Blanchard. But Sudds, I've heard really good things about Sudds from his time at Georgia Tech and then at North Carolina. So
no, that's a great point. About
and then there. I was told there was like 3 that Freeman really were discussed a lot. At least I heard about 3. One was like you make the call. It's not going to happen, but you make the call GM guy, and then you had Blanchard and Sudds was my understanding.
Yeah.
So 2 really good options here, but it looks like Blanchard will be the guy.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. There's there are. I mean, the Sudds has been around since Saban at LSU, Saban at Miami, Saban at Alabama helped build it, and then he went and branched out and started doing some of his own things. So experience once again. The guys that some of the short lists that was leaked out by Football Scoop. Yeah, flip a coin on any of the 4 or 5 names. They're guys with experience who have built rooms, management styles. I think would have big success at Notre Dame.
Matt, appreciate the 199, and then a super chat $5. When will we know whether Bryce Young has gone from freaky talent, iffy production this past year to putting it all together, spring, fall camp, or first game? Well, Tim will tell you. I like to talk about data points, right? The reports from spring and fall camp, they're nice, but they're not always perfect. Sorry, there's game night going on in my house if you guys hear that in the background. So it's like some players will get hyped up a little bit, but it's not really reality. But it's a data point, Tim. But my answer would be Miami, like or some game. How many snaps does he get? Like, is he the number 1 D end? Like these are the things to take into consideration.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I read this thing, when will we know? Well, we'll know when the NFL draft comes. That's the main thing. Is he going to be one of those day 1, early day 2 type guys? That's when we'll really know. But no, I mean, he had a heck of a freshman year, played a ton. He went from 3rd string to guys getting injured. Oben taking a little step back at times, Burnham playing a ton, injured playing a ton, and then Young having to play starter minutes, especially in the playoff run. So no, he had a heck of a freshman year. He's got a lot to still work on. He doesn't, he had the one big sack, but that's like it. He doesn't, he's got so much to learn. Just turn in the corner, as they say at the end, and he's gonna get it. He's got the the strength, the speed, the length, all those things. Once he keeps working and working and working, sky's the limit for him. I mean, we saw it multiple times this year. Even when he's slamming into the punter at Georgia, we saw his his speed and explosiveness. I'm like, oh my God, how do you do that 2 times in a row? But no, he's super, super talented young man. So obviously, you know, the old saying, sky's the limit. And with him, heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Carl, $10 super chat. Appreciate you. Says, how can Freeman say such good things of Mickens? Say he's ready to be a DC, and then he gets jumped over. I mean, just might not be at Notre Dame, or who knows? Maybe he gets the co-DC thing. Like I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I mean, Carl, it's like, how does he say good things about Mick? Well, of course he's going to say good things about him. He's one of the elite of the elite corner coaches, defensive back coaches in the entire game. So, and he's shown that, especially the last few years. Man, Mike, I was watching, because you know I love to watch football, doing dishes. I put on the 2021 Notre Dame SC because I was like, let's see what Freeman did before Al Golden. And there's some guys out there who'd never played today. And they went 11-1 for crying out loud. I'm like, that guy ain't playing this year. So that was interesting just to go back and watch some of that film. But I don't think he got jumped over. He's bringing in a coach with 20 some odd years experience, a coach who's coordinated Rose Bowl games, coordinated national championship games. He's been a head coach. Yeah, it's Rutgers and he failed, but still head coach. He knows how to be a part of that run of thing. And then 4 years in the NFL is huge. I mean, being around those guys. And lastly, real quick, here's another thing on Ash, which I found this fascinating. He coaches at Jacksonville. Urban Meyer's a train wreck. They all get run out of town. Josh McDaniels hires him. 2 years with Josh. Josh gets fired. Josh just can't be a head coach. He'll win the hell out of Super Bowls as an OC and coach the greatest quarterback of all time, but he can't be a head coach. And then Urban is so bad at Jacksonville, it's kind of tainted a little bit. He gets hired back at Jacksonville. To me, as someone who's around people, obviously, in the world of education and coaching and things like that nature, if someone brings you back a few years later, that says a lot about your personality and the type of person you are as well. So I found that something that's not talked about enough, of that period of Urban Meyer is a little tainted, yet Jacksonville's like, you know what? You had a little lasting impression on us. Come on back and be a scout with us.
That Urban Meyer thing in Jacksonville, I totally forgot about that. What?
Yes.
Yikes.
Yes.
What a disaster. Okay, so when was our last show, Tim? Was it last?
That was last week. Yeah, last Wednesday we did a show.
But you were talking about the O-line, thinking, but the experience,
Always,
the Spindler and Coogan. And I was like, bro, the best player's going to play. So we got Pendleton. So there's 8 portal entries, but 2 are walk-on tight ends. So we're really counting 6. So when On3 tweets out the schools that had the least amount of portal entries, I'm like, but what's the walk-on factor? Because when you go to Notre Dame's transfer portal page and On3, you have the walk-ons, which walk-on lives matter. I'm not dismissing that, but for the sake of this discussion, it should really just be about scholarship guys. But I rest my case there. But Sam Pendleton entered the portal with a do not contact tag, which is going to Tennessee. Deion Colsey, Jaden Thomas, no surprises there. Jaden Thomas committed to Virginia. Deion Colsey headed to Miami, Ohio. Rocco Spindler, I believe is it just Indiana, Michigan that he's looking at? Or
I got Nebraska. Remember. I read Nebraska.
Coogan, Nebraska, Indiana. Maybe it's Coogan that's Indiana, Michigan. I can't remember. I think it was Coogan that canceled Ole Miss. It was
Coogan. Yeah.
But Pat Coogan, Rocco Spindler, they're heading to the Big Ten, it looks like. Tai Chan, UConn, and then that's it. So that's the 6, Tim. Any thoughts, reactions, surprises, anything?
Surprises of where they're going.
No surprise. Let's start with surprises of entering, especially when it comes to Rocco and Spindler, because you just have people on the national beat. They're like, "Oh, Notre Dame's had 4 offensive linemen enter the portal." It's like,
and they have no clue.
And it's like then Notre Dame fans jump down their throats. Like, all right, some of them just don't know, and you have to tell them and be like, "Look, You just don't know this. Like, you need to learn this. So I'm going to tell you that, hey, they were backups and then they started due to injury or they lost their spot and or whatever. But it's not like if Sam Pendleton, Rocco Spindler, and Pat Coogan were going to be starters for Notre Dame this fall, they would not have entered the transfer portal. That is just a fact. But they're not. And
I mean, they're not
they
going
wanted to
leave.
leave.
Yeah, exactly. Rocco Spindler knew he's the dude. He's locked in. He's not leaving Notre Dame football.
Right.
So Pendleton, Pendleton's the interesting one because the more you dive into it, the more it's like, yeah, I mean, he got passed over by Charles, when Jags came back. So Jagasaw came back, and obviously Knapp's the starting, left tackle, and Emil's just locked in. So they're, and Baker's that swing guy. So, I mean, he had a pec injury, and they probably brought him back. I talked about this last week. Brought him back, throw him in the fire, just get your feet wet a little bit. Probably felt good. Told the trainer, yeah, I'm feeling good, hitting out there, having some fun. All right, let's just keep you at guard just to get back into base blocking and, hitting people and things of that nature. And he does really damn good. All of a sudden, it's reported, bam, he's getting ready to play in the Sugar Bowl if Rocco can't go. Because remember, Rocco got hurt in the second quarter, finished the half. Pendleton played the whole second half against IU. And Jagasaw's back, and he's going to be the next man in at guard. Right then, and that's the thing with Pendleton, people like to, spread rumors or whatnot, but the simple fact that he hit the portal with the no contact tells you he knew where the hell he was going 10 days prior, because that's how those things work. So hit the portal, he knew right where he was going. Take his years. Football Scoop reported maybe $400K, Mike, $400K to play guard. I kid you not, it's out there to play. Tennessee was throwing out cash to guards because they got a handful left. So if that's true, good for him. I mean, that's the way it is, because Notre Dame's obviously got some very talented guys. I like Pendleton. I thought he was athletic, mean, nasty, all those things. But also Pendleton, real quick, Billy's out. Rocco replaces Billy, but Rocco's playing better than Pendleton. So when Billy comes back, who are you going to sit? Well, Schraub's better than Pendleton. So that's the whole pecking order there. And it probably pissed him off, which I'm sure it did. And then with Coogan and Rocco, man, those guys were warriors. They're fighters. They played their tails off for Notre Dame. They got their degrees, been here 4 years. You posted about that class. Got a first-round pick, a second-round pick. Both Fisher and Alt started in the playoffs. These two guys with their Notre Dame degree going to go and play, probably big, hopefully IU and not Michigan. So I hope they go to Indiana. That'd be good. But that'd be funny if they go to Michigan. But no, I mean, it's a hell of a class, hell of success. So, I told you, I mentioned last week, like, I thought Coogan was the key. Because Rocco, they got a lot of guards. You can find a guard, don't get me wrong. And Rocco had a hell of a playoffs, did some really good things. But I thought Coogan was the key, because I'm still a little leery on Ashton Craig, especially if he comes back in time. But maybe Coogan's like, well, Ashton beat me out before.
I'm sure they know. Like, it does. Wouldn't you say that Notre Dame knows?
Yeah, Ashton's a stud.
Joe Wadding, maybe he's looking good.
Lambert's a freak. Emil Wagner just had a hell of a year. Yeah. Emil Wagner's third year is better than Blake Fisher and Liam Eichenberg, both second-round picks. That tells you how good Emil Wagner played this year. So he's probably right on the wall, and that happens. And Notre Dame, man, Mike, they still have like 16 linemen. They're going into fall camp with 16 bodies.
Spring ball, yeah.
Yeah. So if someone leaves after that, so be it. But it's gonna be a war, man. Me personally, as you know, I'm a huge Sullivan Absher fan, man. I can't wait to read and hear about him, because he's one I'm rooting to shock everyone and get in that starting lineup.
Folks, hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our Blue and Gold YouTube channel for more content. I had a video the other day that got like 30 new subscribers, and I was like, man, it's cool to see our videos continue to reach Notre Dame fans. And there's an analytic that I can click on a video and see for people who watched it, were you subscribed or not subscribed. And it's typically like 60% of people who view our stuff are not subscribers. And then that just like motivates me more to be like, man, there's still more people to reach. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, go ahead and do that. So, the YouTube will tell you when we're live, and you'll see us more on your YouTube homepage and all that good stuff. So hit the thumbs up, of course, on this video as well. That helps support our Blue and Gold YouTube channel. Tim, I loved this. ESPN craziness put out their 25 to 26 college football playoff projection. Not only did they do that, they predicted every team. And Tim Hyde is a huge James Franklin fan, and ESPN for podcast audience, Tim's laughing. He's muted, but he's laughing. He does not like James Franklin, but this has Penn State winning the national championship. So for podcast audience, I'll just tell you guys this real quick. You folks watch on YouTube, you can see this, but it has Michigan, Ohio State in the 8-9 game, Bama in the 5-12 against Boise State, Notre Dame, LSU, Notre Dame hosting LSU in the 7-10, Texas, North Carolina. So the, almost the Mac Brown Bowl, but not quite. Bill Belichick now. But Texas in the 6, North Carolina in the 11. And then your top 4 seeds, because the whole conference champions getting the first round buys, that's still a thing. So you got Georgia in the 1, Louisville in the 4, and then you got Penn State 2 and Utah 3. Interesting, Utah. So they have Notre Dame losing to Penn State's playoff rematch in the second round. But they have Penn State eventually beating Georgia in the national title game. So this is a way too ridiculously early, but still fun playoff projection for this upcoming season. So what do you think, Tim?
Yeah. The LSU Notre Dame thing is obviously just to get someone to open it. So that's the first thing, right? That's the ultimate. You put that up until Freeman or Kelly move on. Oh, I got to read that. But Louisville's going to win the ACC. Okay, I love the North Carolina. That's a little Belichick. Belichick's going to take them to the playoffs in year 1. Is Brady his quarterback? I don't even know who this quarterback is, but it's fun. I mean, to me, some people don't like it. I think it's always interesting. The fact that you're going to have Michigan, Ohio State play back-to-back weeks, play in the game, and then they're going to play a couple weeks later in the first round. That would be wild to see. But Penn State, man, I keep saying it. People laugh at me. They're going to be a preseason top 2 or 3 team. They got so many guys back. They got obviously Jim Knowles. They got away from the Buckeye land. They got a hell of an OC who was at one of your favorite schools, Kansas, where before that with who's the guy on the message board? I love that guy. But
AB10. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. But Penn State's going to be, at least the preseason stuff, they're going to be up there. So that's going to be fun to say. But, the hype is real. I hope not, because Penn State hasn't won a title since 86. Notre Dame, I'm always going to say 93. So definitely don't want Penn State to get one before the Irish. So we got to make sure we light some candles at Mass that Penn State doesn't get it.
Mark with glasses said that James Franklin fill out that bracket. That's funny.
People keep saying, hold on. People keep saying the Penn State thing, man, but they got dudes coming back. They do. They got elite running back room, 4 offensive linemen.
Tim,
front 7 stacked outside of the freakazoid Carter.
What do you think about Drew Aller?
He's average as sin. He just is. But he's going into year 3.
He's got the tool. Like he can make the throw. Like you can see it that he can do it, but he doesn't. So if he unlocks that potential, I think he could be.
If Penn State wins a title before Notre Dame, I will be done watching college football. I will just be done.
Why do I feel like you're full of shit? Notre Dame in way too early 2025 college football rankings. The Athletics got Notre Dame at 3, ESPN 4, Sports Illustrated 4, NCAA.com 4, On 3 5, Fox, CBS, Yahoo all 6. Now, I don't know if we took into account mom and pop blogs, but this is, what is that, 8 major organizations all consider Notre Dame pretty highly for this upcoming season, Tim.
Yeah, Pat Forty on his pod with Wetzel and Ross Dellinger, man.
We're big Dan Wetzel fans around here. Big Dan Wetzel fans.
And I love that pod. Those guys are good together.
He's the one who was starting to crap about the locker room.
That's Wolkin.
Oh shit, you're right. Yeah. All right, I stand corrected. My bad.
No, Wetzel's good, but Pat Forty, man, he just said Notre Dame could easily be my number 1. Because he saw him live a handful of times this year. He's like, their young talent is amazing. All the way they play, how hard they play. He's a big Marcus Freeman fan. He's like, They got a taste this year. They're coming back, coaching staff, all those good things he's talking about. And it's the same thing as everyone's going to be saying, right, is who the hell's quarterback? So they got pieces all around. O-line, obviously tight ends, some wide receivers at transfers. God, fingers crossed for crying out loud. Is a young receiver going to show up? I don't think we've seen a young receiver do anything since, Kevin Austin, it seems like, or Will Fuller in 2004. It's been so damn long. You lose track of guys.
Depends on what you mean by showing up.
I'm talking, once again, I'm an outside guy. A little slot catching flares, cool. I want an outside guy that just forces people to like, holy crap, man, we got to change our structure. Kind of like the guy that caught a pass on 3rd and 11. You need someone like that. It just puts a little fear into you, a little Michael Floyd type of a body. But no, I was just saying, Pat Forty was just like, Notre Dame's there. He's like, Notre Dame, this is a national championship football team coming back. So that was pretty cool to hear that on the podcast. But they're going to be, I'm telling you, when it's all said and done, we get through spring ball, you get a feel for spring, who's there. Do they get another transfer out of the spring window? Or the wide receivers legit? Hopefully Jeremiah Love, we don't even hear about until Miami. Just keep him chilling on the side. We don't need to do nothing. No run. Hopefully he gets like half a rep in spring. Just keep him healthy. Yeah. Seriously, I hope every time Tyler and Jack Sobel report, they're like, yeah, Jeremiah Love's on the bike. Good. That's all we want to hear about is him in shorts on the bike all spring. But it's going to be a crazy receiver C plus exactly already. It's going to be it's a hell of a football team coming back. It really, really is.
Last thing, Brian said, is it too soon to ask about quarterback battle?
It's going to be a battle, so we just got to wait and see what happens. And
hold on. I can't remember if I've been saying this with you or if it was with Pritchett, but this is the first time Notre Dame's had like a true quarterback battle where you're going into it. You'd be like, I could see it being, I personally don't see it being Minchie, but I could see it being Carr or Angeli. But when's the last time you were like, man, like, I really don't know. Like Buckner versus Pine, you knew it was going to be Buckner.
Yeah, we know.
Cone versus Pine, you knew it was going to be Cone. For quite a while, Tim, we've known who it was going to be.
I said last week, I want to say 12. Because Reese
played so we did talk about it.
I think Golson versus Reese in 12, yeah.
So you excited?
Oh, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. It really is. I mean, Steve's going into year 4. He's got a lot of reps. He's been the number 2 on the depth chart, since Buckner got hurt. So he's been there. He's been in those rooms, in those meetings. He's had that number 2, those number 2, shoulder pads on, ready to take over when his number's called. So Carr's got all the hype. Minchie's been here obviously a year longer than Carr. It's gonna be fascinating to see the CJ Carr hype because it is real. So does that, just take over? Does that just take over somewhere?
All right, January 29th. What's your guess? Who do you got? Who's starting against Miami?
Oh my God.
And you can say the field, a portal guy if they change their mind to go to the portal.
I think this is what I did. I could see them. I'll go Steve Angeli. I could see a spread, RPO, Jack Cohn type of style of offense because that's what he's good at. He's really good at getting the ball out, dumping that thing real quick, doing some max protection, throwing. I keep thinking that Purdue ball that KK Smith that he dropped, which was a beautiful play out, max protection, hit that thing to the wide side. I bet you Steve guts it out. Steve wins this thing. CJ Carr is going to be right there as a redshirt freshman, getting ready to take those reps when they're needed. That's what I see. I just do.
And man, people are saying all the insiders say job of CJ Carr is the lead.
Oh, they all do. Yeah, I mean,
CJ Carr is the better. So all right. I think it's gonna be Steve right now. Right now, January 20th, I think it's gonna be Steve.
I keep going back to, and I mentioned some of the, the Jack Cohn thing, because it's just get the ball out, boom, read it, hand off to Kyron Williams, or hit, Avery Davis. You got obviously Kevin Austin out there, Styles was out there, they could, throw the ball around a little bit. I could see them doing some things like that. Just, when I say RPO, I'm not saying zone read. I'm saying a true, if there's an extra guy in the box, hit the quick out or the slant, bring guys in, max protection, run some combo routes, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So I bet you Steve just does it, man. I think at the end of the day, those 3 years of being the number 2 guy, of just knowing where to check, knowing where to release the ball,
Yeah.
I think it's going to just pay off by a hair in the end. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be a battle. I think it's going to be CJ
Yeah.
Carson past Kenny Minchey.
I
I'm expecting him.
I'm in agreement. I think CJ will pass Kenny. And I also think that if Angeli struggles and they lose against Miami and then A&M struggling a little bit, I could see them throw it in Carr right then and there. So I don't think he would have a long leash, but I think it will be Angeli against Miami. Buckner back to QB room. I do think Buckner's going to go back to the quarterback room. I do. I think he'll be 3rd or 4th string, but I do think he's going to move back to the quarterback room. But all right, that's it for this show, folks. Please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. Head to blueandgold.com. So much coverage. The guys, which I am one of them, we do an incredible job covering Notre Dame football, basketball, recruiting, just the whole show. So make sure to check it out, blueandgold.com. That's going to do it for this show, folks. Really appreciate you for tuning in. And as always, we will catch you next time.